Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. In this video I'm gonna show you how to remove and replace your motor mounts out of your 2014 plus Chevrolet Silverado, GMC Suburban, Sierra or any other truck that shares the same shaft. And I will be replacing my stock motor mounts with these Atomic Fabrication and Performance motor mounts. These are polyurethane bushed. These are going to be much sturdier than the stock ones. All of the motor mounts and skid plate bolts are 15 millimeters, so that's the only size tools we are going to need. Also, you will need a jack and a piece of wood to carry the engine. The first thing I'm going to do is loosen all of the bolts, the 4 bolts on the block and the 3 bolts in the chassis. Only 2 bolts are accessible through here through an extension and a ratchet. The other ones I'm going to have to go under the truck. I will now place the jack in the oil sump, and that's the way I'm gonna push the engine upwards so I can remove the motor mount. I loaded the engine with the jack. I put the jack here, I put the wood on the edge of the engine and I pushed it up. The bottom 2 bolts, this one and this one, are gonna be easier to take off by using the ratchet with an extension and a little elbow. And the top 2, they're gonna be easier if you just grab a 15 millimeter spanner and you muscle them out. Now that the motor mount is separated, I will remove all the bolts.
Few inches later.
What I did to get extra room to remove the motor mount was actually loosening the bolts on the chassis on the other side of the engine, so I could push the engine a little bit further up and side to side. This is the stock driver side motor mount and this is the AFP motor mount. This one is the passenger side. I don't have a scale here, but I do believe the stock motor mount is actually heavier than the AFP. Getting this one out was a pain in the butt. Putting the new AFP mount back in was so much easier. This is so much easier and simpler to install. This is constructed of steel plate and the tolerances in the manufacture of this piece top notch. The welds look to be freaking awesome. I mean, this is not grinded. These are the welds. So yeah, this stands out to me as an excellent piece. When putting the new motor mount in, remember to snug up the bolts on the block of the engine first so the plate sits flush, but leave the chassis bolts loose so you can move the engine a little bit more when changing the other motor mount. Pro tip: when you have one of these elbows and it's wiggly and you cannot point the socket to where you want to go, just grab a little rubber band and place it in the middle of it. As such. One under, one over, one under, one over. And this is gonna make your life so much easier. In this side of the engine, I don't have any more room to remove the motor mount. So what I'm gonna do is remove the starter motor so I can pull the motor mount that way. It's just a couple of 1/2-inch bolts and a connector. That way I can open up a channel to pull the motor mount out and put the new one in.
6.5 hours later.
I am sorry I didn't get footage of removing and replacing the passenger side motor mount. I actually asked a friend for help. The thing is that having the engine swiveling down a piece of wood and me being under it wasn't the most comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you're more prone to having an accident. So having someone to help you out is gonna give you more peace of mind and you are gonna be less prone to having an accident or making a mistake. When you are replacing the motor mounts on a 2014 plus Chevrolet Silverado, you have to be aware that it's more difficult than the previous generation. In my case, I have LongTube headers and the LongTube headers took up a little bit more space. These are my passenger side and driver side motor mounts. You have to unbolt these 3 bolts and also these 3, but leave them with a couple of threads on each hole so you can pry the engine upwards and side to side. That way you are gonna make more room to get the old motor mounts out. The engine, as it sits on the truck, it's a little bit more to the passenger side than the driver side. That's why this one is a little bit longer than this one. You will have to make extra room to remove this one and you will have to push the engine a little bit to the driver's side. Then when you're ready to pull the first motor mount out, take it out and replace it with the new mount. Don't take them out both at the same time. When you are installing the new motor mounts, regardless of them being stock or aftermarket, remember to use Loctite. In my case, putting the Atomic Fabrication and Performance polyurethane mounts was much easier than if I wanted to put stock mounts back in, because the AFP mounts were so much smaller and so much easier to manipulate going back into the engine. If you're swapping your engine mounts, please consider buying a set of aftermarket mounts because it's going to make it so much easier for you. I finished double checking all of the bolts to assure that they are tight, and now we're going to go for a test drive.
We're gonna go scare the neighbors. Join us, won't you?
I was expecting a little bit more vibration, but these are actually very comfortable. There is a little bit more vibration, but it's not that much. It's just when you start the truck and on idle. You can feel the vibration a little bit when you're taking off, and it feels very good. Before I finish up putting back the skid plate, I'm gonna let the engine and transmission cool down, and I'm gonna recheck again that all the bolts are tight, and that's it. That's how you remove and replace the motor mounts on a 2014 Plus K2XX chassis Silverado Sierra Suburban Tahoe. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like this, please give it a big thumbs up. If you like what you see in my channel, please subscribe. And as always, I will see you next time.